Hey, what is going on, everyone? Well, I'm so glad that you have took your time to spend with me right here today on the MRB Wrestling Review Show. I'm your co-host, Mike Big Wilson, and right now I'm going to give you my review and the results of last night's episode of NXT. And it's from the Full Sail University in Orlando, Florida. The show kicked off last night with Enzo Amore and his big bodyguard, Colin Cassidy. And as they approach the ring, they cut the promo, they do their thing. And what I like about these guys is, right now I'm on board with them. It's different now, it's cool, it's awkward in the same time as well. The stuff, the little things that Enzo Amore does when he speaks and his gyrations and everything is just really different and unique about this guy. And having the bodyguard Colin Cassidy also adds to Enzo's character. Right now, Enzo Amore is one of those guys right now that will establish himself as a, legit NXT superstar, and I think right now he's doing really good for himself. And speaking of doing good, what I also like about NXT is that sometimes you need established superstars to come into NXT and build up the superstars of tomorrow. In this case, Enzo Amore. What happened? Tons of Funk came out. And kind of got their way with Enzo and his big bodyguard. And with Mason Ryan as well. What I like about that is that, like I said before, guys coming in, even if it's just mid-carders that are on Raw and SmackDown, who come in and help these new guys to be on these shows like Raw and SmackDown, and it's all great. The only awkward moment about that whole segment was that after, Enzo got theirs from Tons of Funk and Mason Ryan, don't ever dance again. He's just so stiff and doing this horse dance, I don't know. That part of the show was just weird and awkward and bizarre. Don't ever do that again, please. That was just... I was like, no. Alright. But, with that being said, the show picked up a little bit after. With the backstage segment, it was Dusty Rhodes, Paige, Emma, and Summer Rae came in after. And kind of laid a challenge to Emma and, said, that whole win in the semifinal tournament was a fluke over Summer Rae, etc., etc. So next week on NXT, there's going to be a dance battle, I guess, between Emma and Summer Rae. This is going to be interesting because we know that Summer Rae is, Fandango's dance partner, so... I hope they play on that, as well as Emma's goofy little dance. Absolutely. The silly things go over with the NXT fans, and that's one of them. So, I'm kind of actually looking forward to this dance battle next week. And, with Paige there, she said it don't matter who wins. They'll be next in line for the NXT Women's Championship. And right now, Paige is looking good. And I know NXT, is like weeks, about a month behind. And Paige is still the champ. So that's all well and good. And I think right now, Paige is the rightful holder for the title. And I think she'll hold that for quite some time before, she drops it. Probably to Emma. And I don't think Summer Rae should be the diva to, take that belt away from Paige. I think it should be Emma because Emma right now is absolutely amazing with the fans. And I think she's one of those characters that's, really going over with the crowd. And she's funny too. So, with all that being said, I think Emma right now looks fantastic. So does Paige. Summer Rae, the whole Divas division. Anyway, and speaking of a Divas division, There was a match. It was Sasha Banks versus Charlotte. Great athleticism from Charlotte last night. And it's always bit by bit by bit. And now that we see Charlotte, this is only the second time we've seen Charlotte since her debut. And I think she has shown tremendous ability in the ring. And the finish is really cool too as well. I don't know what she calls it. There could be a name, but there is a move that she does called the Charlotte's Web. Where she goes for a pin cover with her legs, and that's really interesting. I like all these cool new things that NXT is doing, and Charlotte bringing in her as Ric Flair's daughter. We all know that, so you hear the woos from the crowd. The only thing now with Charlotte is that we need, that proper entrance, some music entrance, etc., etc., and to do a couple of poses on the ramp or something, and then walk in the ring and do her ring entrance, and etc., etc. That's the only thing that's missing now from Charlotte, and I think hopefully next week they'll do that, because we're at that point now where she should have those kind of things when she wrestles on NXT. And with all that being said, I think she'll be a diva, that it will be the future NXT Women's Champ before they bring her up. It's a possibility, however, that they could, rush right into it because she is Ric Flair's daughter and just bring her up right away. Kind of like they did with Roman Reigns, because he's The Rock's cousin. And with Charlotte being Ric Flair's daughter, I think the same thing could happen to her. Just my opinion. I don't think it should. It should be just little by little by little. Kind of like with the Wyatt family on Raw and SmackDown, little by little. So I hope they do go that route. But it's just one of those things that could go either way. Also last night, there was a backstage segment with Tyler Breeze. Oh my god. Probably one of the most entertaining things that happened on NXT was Renee Young interviewing Tyler Breeze. And then what made that interview was that guy in the background doing these silly little things that Tyler Breeze or Renee did not even see. But you get the sense that whoever this guy is going to be the next opponent for Tyler Breeze. Of course. So, and the cool thing is, again, Tyler Breeze is another guy that I'm a little bit on board with. Not so much with Enzo Amore. But I'm getting there with Tyler Breeze because, it's new, it's fresh, and it's different. So with that being said, hopefully good things happen with Tyler Breeze on NXT. In the tag team match, Aiden English and Mickey Keegan, we've seen these guys tag team before, and it's not too bad. It's not a legitimate team, but it's a team nonetheless, but they're acting as the jobbers. And they faced Luke Harper and Eric Rowan of the Wyatt family. And really, that match was over before it even started. Wyatt family got the win. Bray Wyatt, shortly after that, cut a promo. Done the sister Abigail on in English and Mickey Keegan. Well, one of those guys anyway. And then he cut a promo and said that we will leave NXT now, but if you need us, they're not too hard to find, and etc., etc. Saying all these things. Here's the interesting thing that came off of this. The fans, I think, got the idea that their debut was excellent, and what they've been doing on Raw and SmackDown is just gold, little by little. And I think they're on board with that, and they really got over with the fans with a whole bunch of cheers. And that kind of threw me off guard, but you know what? When I sat back and think about it, I think that the NXT fans just got it. They just really got and understood how the Wyatt family's debut was tremendous. And I think they're on board with that, and that's why they got over with the audience in that sense. So it's going to be interesting to see the Wyatt family on Raw and SmackDown. Now that they're going to leave NXT, it's kind of like, even though there's going to be something missing off of that show, at least something good came out of what transpired on NXT last night. And the main event, well, actually first, and the backstage segment with Aiden English and Corey Graves, it's just one of those tag teams where you go, these guys are probably better not getting along, but somehow on that backstage segment, they kind of had that common goal, and just to say we run from no one, and that was well and good, but I'd rather see Corey Graves and Aiden English not get along, just for the sake of, when they wrestle, they do get along as a team, kind of like what Kane and Daniel Bryan did when they were tag team champs. I think I'd rather it that way, but it was all well and good because Corey Graves went one-on-one with Scott Dawson. He got the victory. And then shortly after Corey Graves got the victory, The Shield came out. Seth Rollins, Roman Reigns, and Dean Ambrose. What a nice surprise. And they laid down the challenge. Next week it's going to be the U.S. champ, Dean Ambrose, putting his title on the line against Aiden English. And what I like about this is that usually you see the Shield, getting the rub off and benefiting from matches on Raw SmackDown that the other guys are helping them to being the main event superstars of tomorrow. What's interesting about that is that the roles are reversed right now. And now that the Shield, for example, Dean Ambrose, is now going to bring up in English to the top shows of Raw SmackDown. And I think that's an interesting role that the Shield is going to play next week on NXT. It's going to be really interesting to say the least. And the main event was Leo Kruger and Antonio Cesaro going in a 2-on-2 match against Bo Dallas, the NXT champ, and Sami Zayn. First half of the match, it was alright. There was a little rusty tag team work with Bo Dallas and Sami Zayn. They couldn't get the tags together because the other opponent kept going into the other corner and tagging out, and bringing the other guy in. So it was a little rusty for the baby faces in that match. Let's just say Bo Dallas and Sami Zayn are probably better off doing singles competition. But with the other team of Cesaro and Leo Kruger, classic, they got along. They look good as a tag team, even though they're two individuals like the other guys. So, it was a nice, interesting dynamic throughout that match. And I think the second half was a little better because, it really picked up. Leo Kruger and Cesaro got the victory after Leo Kruger pinned the NXT champion Bo Dallas. That needed to happen because he is the number one contender, which makes sense. I don't mind, guys that are number one contender and pinning the champ because that is excellent build-up to the championship match. And that was my review of NXT. I'm your co-host, Mike McGrath Wilson. Get plenty of rest and always do your best.